Welcome to Trauma and Transcendence, where healing meets awakening. I'm Amanda M. Dodd, your guide on this transformative journey. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Let's transcend together. Hello, soulful seekers. Welcome back to Healing Beyond Trauma. Tonight, as you hear this, I will be ever in the salt cave. Tonight, we are doing ancestral healing. I always love to do these right around Mother's Day and Father's Day because we have all of this DNA that is held within us, all of those lessons, the challenges, the triumphs that our ancestors have gone through is literally encoded in our DNA. So as you're hearing this, I will be exploring DNA with the group to see what ancestral patterns, challenges, gifts, and graces they have. That'll be the journey that I'm on. Tonight, though, as you're listening to this, we're going on a different journey. We're going to come back and talk more about spirit releasement. And oddly enough, it just makes me laugh every time when I think about the direction that my life has gone in, because in no way, in no world did I ever think I would be doing the things that I'm doing. Oddly enough, it makes perfect sense. I don't think it could have gone another way. But since actually we last spoke, I have gone ahead and done more spiritual releasement. Again, not planning to do these, they just kind of seem to keep coming up. And it's coming up in client sessions. More and more people are needing this work. And so I am using the skills that I've got and helping people out the best that I can. And a last episode really seemed to be important to some of you. A couple of you have reached out, had questions, said, hey, I think I need one of these sessions. I think I need to explore this. And today I'm lucky to be joined by my friend, a previous client who has done some work with me. We've done a little bit of quantum healing hypnosis together. We've done a little bit of coaching together around being an empath. I think we've even done a bit of hypnosis in the Salt Cave. I would like to introduce you to my dear sweet friend, Michelle. And Michelle is here to talk about some of her experiences because she was one of those people who heard that last episode and said, I think I have some questions. Welcome, Michelle. It's so nice to have you.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So, when we first met, you were kind of in a different spot. And I know that you're not yet fully where you'd like to be
Mhm.
in terms of like your goals with feeling connected to source and your mind, your heart, your energy. You're not yet where you want to be. But you're also not where you were when we first met.
Correct.
What is it like for you? Where are you now with everything?
I think I am. So when I first found you, I was in, I don't know how to explain it. I was in a different place where I just had no direction. And
Yeah.
at that point, I was just seeking, like, wherever I could find an answer or whatever. And then I found Dolores Cannon, and Dolores Cannon made me find you.
I hear that a
um,
lot.
yeah.
I hear that a lot. And not just I
hmm
looked for QHHT and found Dolores and found you, but
hmm
I also hear that a lot of Amanda, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what my path is. I don't know what my purpose is. I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling detached. And I just want you to know that that's a very common place. And sometimes beautiful things happen in that space, that moment where we don't know. Um, and I like to think about that whole process a lot is almost, like how the baby must feel in the womb right
Oh
before it's
man,
being born of, hey, it's
man,
dark in here. I have
man,
no idea
really,
what's happening.
really, really, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was lost. I was completely just detached, detached from myself, detached from source, detached from anything. I couldn't
Yeah.
make decisions, and feeling like I was the one who brought the bad luck. I was the one who, you know, almost like a
Yeah.
bad luck charm,
Oh,
So,
that's so
just
hard.
yeah, I was in a fight with with myself, you know, with my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so yesterday we had an over 2-hour conversation.
Oh wow. Yes, we did, honey.
Private. You guys aren't privy to that.
Yeah.
And what we're learning is maybe that fight, that confusion, you're not just fighting with yourself.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So what I can say is, yesterday started as, I listened to this video saying like when you hear, voices or whatever. And I listened to the 6-minute video and I swept it under the rug. It's been on my watch later list for like a whole year, and I've never watched it till yesterday.
Yeah, I've got those.
Right. And so right after I watched that one, I watched another one. Was that the same one? I watched another one, not looking for it, it popped up and it was talking about, you know, basically whatever it is, you've given the power, so you got to withdraw that power from it, whatever it is. Watch that, and mind you, Amanda made the video a week ago, basically. Right? Was that like a week ago?
Yeah.
And it just popped up on my Facebook, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me see what she's talking about. And I watched it, and it was crazy because I almost contacted her before I watched the video because I was like blown away that it had just popped up. Because I set intentions for that day that, Source can have that day, God can have that day. You can have it. Whatever happens, happens. And so this is the training events that were happening spiritually. And so I wait. I said, okay, Michelle, just calm down. Go ahead and just finish the video before you call her. So that's exactly what I did. I finished the video. Even though I picked up the phone about 3 or 4 times, about to call her in the middle of it. And I finally went ahead and said something to her about it. Yeah. The thing about it though is, I never made her aware of that those things were happening because I'm thinking it's normal, I guess. I've had it for so long, thinking it's normal, but it's not because it's gotten worse this year. And for example, when I was watching one of the videos yesterday, and I was saying how he was like, you got to withdraw that power from whatever type of spirit or entity or negativity it is. And when I did that, my TV started cutting on and off. It just kept doing it, and then eventually it just went out. And that was before I called her.
It's like a child throwing a tantrum, isn't it?
I know, right? Settle down.
Right? Yeah, no, that is seriously, that is child energy of I'm not getting what I want. Ooh, I'm going to mess with your stuff.
Right. So crazy.
That's the level of maturity I'm working with over here.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's wild. It didn't come up for you last week, and granted, I'm slow at putting stuff out there sometimes. I put things out the day of because I'm pressed for time, and I don't always plan ahead when it comes to this podcast. And but look at how, and we talked about this before, of girl, when you set an intention. What did I tell you about that? I remember doing a whole live video responding to surrender, and that's something I want to do a podcast episode on one day because it's so powerful. Absolutely. And do you remember that conversation? It was probably over a year ago. And it was one of those conversations. Yeah. And it was one of those of, Amanda, I'm stuck, I'm blocked, I'm not getting my guidance, I have no idea where to move. What do I do with this?
Right.
And I said, It's time to surrender. But you don't
Yeah.
play with surrender, because the minute you start to open that path,
Girl.
you have to show up.
Right.
And it's the same, I want to say, when it comes to intention. And so when you tell Source anything like that, when you're having that direct conversation with God, with Source, with whatever you call it, and you say,
Right.
okay, you have this day.
Man.
Boy, did Source take that day.
Man, sure did. You're not expecting that. I no way was I'm thinking like somebody gonna call me for a job or something. Nah.
No, but sometimes, and it's the things we don't want to look at, isn't it? It's there's this wonderful meme that I saw a while ago, where it's this little yoga lady and she's praying and she's like, universe, tell me what you want me to do today. And universe whispers back, clean your house.
Oh man.
We don't want to hear that.
We don't want to hear that.
But sometimes it's those moments of, yes, clean your house, because you literally can't hear or receive anything else until you get some of the mundane laundry tasks out of the way, because yes, they're in your way.
Yeah.
So that was in your way, and synchronicity happened, and you had a couple of videos queue up. And then did you actually listen to the whole episode? Did you get a chance to do that?
Of yours?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then
I waited.
What parts of that hit for you when you're like, okay, validation? Like, when did that start to arrive?
Actually, every part of it, every symptom that you said, I don't know if that's the correct term, but everything that you named, I have or am currently experiencing. And you have to excuse me because my memory is not the best. I just know that everything
that's part of it.
You said it matched. But the one that stood out the most, I think, is I don't know if you said acting out. You might have used a different word. I'm not really sure.
Self-sabotage is definitely one of them. Any kind of self-defeating pattern, procrastination, when you want to do something, but then you can't make momentum and get yourself to do it. Like there's this huge resistance. That's a common one that happens. Yeah.
To the T.
Behaving and reacting to things that you have no reason to behave and react to things in that way.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. Like I can think of so many times, not just within my life, but within other people's, when it's like, ooh, that was a big reaction. What was that even all about?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I always feel myself wanting to act out. I never have. I've always been a calm person. I mean, when I was younger, I used to get, a little mouthy here and there, but now it's, for the longest, I've just been humbled, because I don't want to act out. I don't know. But I can feel myself, like when I get irritated, like just knocking everything over or just imagining, like I could just see it without choosing to see it, Yeah. And then as far as, that other voice, like that matched to the T, because what I guess certain people, I can't say all the time, I sometimes hear something like, I wish they'd die, or something along those lines.
And it's not usually people that you feel that way about in life.
Right. It's not. So I just, yesterday, I never felt comfortable talking about this either. Yesterday was the first time I talked about it. I honestly, I knew Amanda was spiritual, but I had no idea that she was in that area, like where she had that experience. Right.
I'm in a little bit of denial still. Hence the laughing uncomfortably every time.
I would be too.
not everybody knows all parts of me because not everybody has what it takes to receive that, and that's
Absolutely.
fine. So I'm very gentle in sharing that because I don't want to scare anyone or make anyone uncomfortable, but this is very much becoming part of my daily reality over here.
Yes, it is, honey.
And I'm still coming to grips with accepting that. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've known each other over a year. It's almost like 2 years now.
I think it is. It might be.
It's gone by that
over
fast.
a little
Isn't
bit.
that
Yeah.
wild?
Yeah.
Oof. And so
That's
we
crazy.
first met because you wanted to work on your PTSD, and that was initially when we first met. Yeah.
What did we do? We tried. What is it called?
IEMT.
IEMT. See, I was about to mess that whole name up.
Yeah. It's a bit of a mouthful. It's integral eye movement technique or therapy. It's mouthy. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
But I love IEMT, and it doesn't always work for everybody, but some people it works profoundly for, and it's wild. And I keep joking and saying I'm going to take before and after photos. One man I worked on was incredible. His mom was there. And so he had a session first. She sent him in like the guinea pig. If you go try this, and then her session was after. And he was grieving some pretty serious loss. And when he came out after the session, she went up to him and she like held his face in her hands. And she's like, "You're smiling. Look at your eyes. Your eyes are bright." And so for the people that it works for, it really is impactful and works for. And I regret every time not having before and after photos.
It worked for me too. It worked for me too.
You had a hard time with some of it.
I did. I did.
Yeah. And then QHHT, you also had a hard time with it. I much wanted you to get relief and to get some insight and to feel that connection that you were longing for.
Absolutely. Me too. Yeah. Me too. I have to get rid of more trauma. Go ahead.
Yeah. You said yesterday at one point that you were aware of that other voice you were mentioning saying, "I'm not going to let you experience this." God, I wish you'd said something during the session. We would have gone in a different direction. But what was that like to have heard that and to have that awareness and to know like this is this thing that I want to do and experience, and then to have that other voice say, "I'm not going to let you access this"?
So actually that was I was letting you know of the lady that I watched on YouTube who had it with her session with somebody else, and that's what happened with her. With me, I don't know how to explain this, but with me,
just wing it.
Nothing works. Like it works, but nothing like. How can I put this? It's kind of like anytime I try to get help, something cuts it off. When I was trying to listen to your podcast yesterday, like it wouldn't play at first. It wouldn't play. You remember I told you, I said, I can't get access to it. Like it won't play for me. So I had to finagle and play around. Then the headphones went out.
Was that before or after you had rebuked anything within you and it was messing with the TV?
It was after. Yeah, I couldn't hear it.
Yeah. When we set intention like that, even if you are not sovereign and you have the intention to call back your power, to pull back your spirit, and to cast out anything that is not of your pure essence, that's no joke. This stuff works. And a lot of it is based on our will, based on intention. We can clear ourselves of things. We can clear ourselves of other people's ill intent, whether conscious or unconscious. We can release parasites and things that are siphoning our energy. Lesser entities we can release. And so I really do believe when you chose to rebuke it, you chose to cast it out, and then it started fiddling with your TV.
Yeah.
And then it started cutting off your access to internet stuff.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Yeah, you were dealing with like a little bit of a tantrum from an entity there in your physical space. Yeah.
I definitely did. There was a couple other things that happened too I didn't mention because I'm like, maybe that was just me. Yesterday when that was going on.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at the back of the TV because I thought about unplugging it, but I decided not to because I was like, if that thing cut back on and is unplugged, I'm out of here. You know, you got me messed up. But I kind of seen the cord move and nothing else was back there. So it kind of moved. And then I came back over to my charger and it just kind of like moved and fell off the couch. I don't know if that was me. It was convenient. It happened all at the same time. You know,
and that was why I wanted you to come on today, because that feeling of it's almost like self-gaslighting. It's almost like I'm gonna brush this off, I'm gonna minimize this because it's just me, because there's no one else here to see this thing happen or to validate this.
Absolutely.
That is why I wanted you here today, because we all go through that.
Absolutely.
Here I am living this weird paranormal life. I do that same shit. It sucks.
Right. Right.
No, we all have those.
Yeah.
And so I wanted you to kind of speak to that, because I don't want there to be other people out there in the world having this same experience, having these spiritual paranormal things happening, and then kind of shrinking into that doubt of this is just in my head, or I'm just making them up, or this is just me.
Yeah, I've always been somewhat connected spiritually. I just didn't know because I was raised in a Christian household. There were things that happened.
Elaborate on some of that, what that was like?
Oh yeah, when I was younger, I used to just wake up screaming and crying, and you know the doctors and whoever always got to put a name to something. No, call it what it is. You know, I used to wake up screaming and crying, and I guess my eyes rolling in the back of my head. But that was after I would basically every time I went to sleep, I could hear my heart, which I'm sure everybody can. But mine would turn into footsteps, and they would get faster and faster and faster. Then I'll hear the back door open, and then I'll fall into some deep sleep and have a really bad dream. Not that I remembered the dreams all the time. I just know I did, because once I come out of whatever I was in, I'm like, as a kid, like, what am I doing up here crying and stuff,
Yeah.
It was so weird.
So you'd sleepwalk as well.
I don't, well, my parents would be there holding me like, it's okay. Yeah. Basically consoling me. So I think I sleepwalked maybe a couple times, but not really. That's one thing I really didn't do. I was so scared to move, honey. Like I was scared. So I didn't even, sometimes I peed on myself when I was a kid, like, because I was too scared to go to the bathroom.
I think so many people can relate to that within childhood, particularly anybody who grew up with any degree of sensitivity.
Yeah. Absolutely. And one of the things, that's why I'm so glad, a part of me is happy that I'm open-minded, because my parents are I love them to death, or to life, but they are so closed-minded that they couldn't put two and two together. So I would get in trouble if I did pee on myself. But hey, I take your discipline over this thing over here that I don't know. So, they couldn't put it together, and
it was a lot of different things. What do you feel like it was? Because my mind is already going to different things that it could be. What do you feel like it was that was happening?
Honestly, I think that because we lived in such a rough neighborhood, and I think it was already probably stuff that already lived in the house. Or it could have just been generational, because I noticed a lot that other people don't notice within, my family, looking past the flesh, looking past just what I see. I see stuff and I notice stuff. So it could be a mixture of both. Um, I'm not really sure because I can only remember one time. The other stuff I probably just blocked out. I can remember one time when I actually did see something. And this might be me just, again, gaslighting myself. Like, no, you probably was asleep. It was something that I heard the back door open and I see something walking. It was almost kind of like a robot alien thing walking. But I could have easily just watched RoboCop the day before and just had some type of dream, you know? So,
when you saw that, was it like mind's eye, daydream see it, or was it objective, like outside of you?
I was in the bed and I just saw it. I was in the bed. My parents didn't have a door, but their bedroom door was off of the dining room. So, and the back door, you got to come to the kitchen. The kitchen is right there. So when they came, I seen them walk and then go across. Like, you have to walk in front of their door in order to get to the back. That's where I usually sleep. But they went to the bathroom, I think ran water, and I seen it walk right back out. I don't know. But like I said, it could have been a dream, but I remember that one vividly.
So a phenomenon that can happen, because you said you felt like it was something that was attached to the house or possibly generationally. Something that can happen. Yeah. Energy can get caught in a loop. And you know it's a loop because as a medium, when I go to connect with it, there'll be no consciousness. There'll be nothing to communicate with. And nothing that I am doing will cause a response. And so a loop means that that same thing happens over and over again. That door opening, those footsteps, running the water. Was it always a repetition, or did it ever deviate from that?
So as far as the that only happened once. However, I can't really remember anything else, but the footsteps happened every single night. I would have those terrors every night.
They were the same every night?
They were the same. Oh yeah, I knew it was gonna happen. I would go to bed.
So here's my 2 cents. Without putting you in regression and without going into your higher self and asking those questions of, hey, what is this actually? Or going to the subconscious mind. Just my take as a medium is that was looped energy, but you were clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient, and so you would pick up on it. And then your body began to respond to it as though it was real, because as a kid, we think everything's real. We don't have that filter to say, hey, this is not what you think it is.
Right. No, you're right.
We don't have that critical factor formed.
You're right.
But it's scary, especially through a child's eyes.
Oh yeah, it was. But my they failed to realize, what I was going through. To this day.
Did you ever try to tell them, or did that take so much courage that it felt insurmountable?
They I think I did. I'm not actually sure. Anything outside of the normal Christian life is like, oh, you crazy. Like, it's not, they don't take it seriously.
Yeah. That voice that says, oh, you crazy. Is that the same voice you hear now when you experience something and you're like, it's just me?
Probably. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think that the part when I hear the voice saying that I'm crazy, that's more so happening like within the past few years.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the same voice, because it is, you know how you sound different when you record yourself. You're like, oh, I sound like that. So if that's what you're asking, if it's like in my voice.
Yeah. Well, a lot of psychic impressions come through in our own voice, and that's the nature of spirit and these energetic things, they can't manifest their own voice sometimes. When I was talking last week about spirit releasement and that spontaneous demon that came up out of the client and said, "She's mine," and cussed at me, that wasn't my voice, but it definitely was not me. And then I saw its crazy looking face.
Oh man.
But when I heard it with my clairaudience, it sounded like my voice, like it didn't have its own voice at that moment, and maybe because it couldn't manifest one.
Okay.
Sometimes when loved ones in spirit pass, my grandfather is a common one that I talk about. He didn't have his own voice when he passed.
Really?
And I think part of that is the way he lived. He was a musician, but he had a hard time telling people what was what sometimes without either becoming too aggressive or too passive. And I think it was uncomfortable for him to be assertive. And so then when he passed, he didn't really have that. And at one point, he came to warn me after he passed that I was going to have major surgery. And he took me to my favorite place in World of Warcraft, a video game that I play. And he was pointing this way down at my stomach. And he was pointing to like the upper part of the stomach. And I'm thinking, okay, interesting, but you're pointing in the wrong place because all my problems were lower down, having PCOS and stuff.
Right.
And I heard in my mother's voice, who was alive, say major surgery. And so he wanted me to know that there was going to be a big life-changing major, and it was. And it was. In my ignorance, I thought he meant something else and that I was right. I was arrogant, but no, he was very much right. I did need life-saving gallbladder surgery. And it ended up being a whole expedition. But he didn't have that voice at that time. He had to learn that on the side of spirit, and sometimes that happens within mediumship, but I think it happens with these other lower entities and energies like that as well. So we hear it in our own voice, or maybe someone else's. Yeah. Something else that can happen, though, is in childhood, if we have a parent or an authority figure who isn't necessarily accepting or approving or validating of us, what can happen is we have an introject. We take on a part of ourselves that represents the critical part of them, and we speak to ourselves in that way. And so I wondered if when you were saying, "Oh, you crazy," I can't remember how you phrased it now. You being crazy, I think was what you said, but I wondered if that was maybe an introject, a part of what maybe one of your parents would have said because of their beliefs that you took on. And the reason that we do this is actually a self-protective mechanism to never be in a situation where that person might disapprove of us. So that the brain creates this for us as a means of, here's a guideline, stay within these two sides and you'll be okay, kind of thing. But then as we grow up, it's not helpful, and it keeps us really limited and stuck. And some people call it an inner critic. It can be called sometimes. When someone's been through abuse, sometimes they create a part that represents that abuser. It's incredibly hard. We can work with it, though. Yeah. Okay. And we can make changes and do healing. So I was wondering if that was, what side that was on, if it was an entity that was borrowing you and your abilities, or if it's possibly an introject from childhood and the different beliefs within your household, even though they didn't mean it in a harmful way. As a child, we take things differently. And we think, oh man, I never want to be on your bad side, so I'm going to play within your set of rules, kind of thing.
That's good. It definitely could be that. My mom was Christian, should I say. My mom was Christian. My dad, he was a good, different person. I mean, now. But then he did reject me. I don't know if that's like kind of like what you mean.
And is it, like, was it full on rejection, or is it just that you were little and you perceived it as rejection? Because when we're little, we just want to be validated and loved and accepted fully. Our lives kind of depend on it. We need the
I,
people with the food to like us to make sure that we're going to be okay.
I don't think I cared then because I was just so little. I
Okay.
never really actually cared about it unless he brought something up that had nothing to do with, anything. But I don't think I care until he denies that he was like that. But my mom told me he was like that from the get go.
Okay.
He denied me, like, even when she was pregnant with me, I guess. But he was in the service or whatever when I was born. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what she said. But he still denied me. But he wouldn't do it in front of my face until,
Yeah.
like, well, he would never, when he thought I didn't hear him, I would hear him say
Mm-hmm.
it. Like, he
Mm-hmm.
said it so much I was so used to it. And I was still older. I was older at that time. Um,
Oh,
so I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it. I don't even really think about it because it's the least of my problems.
that's so
you
hard.
know?
Doesn't that make you just want to scoop little Michelle up and hug her and hold her and be like, "Oh, kiddo, it's not you.
Yes, I
These adults have
do.
their own ish."
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Oh,
That household,
yeah.
boy. Whew. Okay.
Mm-hmm. We always have deep conversations. It's a
Mm-hmm.
hazard with me. I should come with a label. Amanda doesn't know how to do surface. Be cautioned.
Oh man. But that's why I love you because I am comfortable with you and you're a trustworthy person and I can tell you these
Oh,
things.
it's true. Thank you. I
hmm
appreciate that. I think I've
Absolutely.
worked very, very hard to become that person.
Yeah.
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 Kind of like you. When I was growing up as a medium, I didn't tell anybody what I was experiencing again because they were Christian and I was raised Catholic, French Canadian, so that was a big
hmm
thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff, like they had a Buddha statue, and I guess they went to spirituals camps before I was born. I missed all the good
hmm
parts, apparently.
Right. Right. Right.
uh,
Right.
but we sensed that as little kids, and it's like, ooh, I can't tell these people this thing about me or these things that I've experienced, or I can't tell these people, and so we just don't.
Right.
And I
Right.
feel like that's such a sad, isolating, lonely place, and it's a lost
It
opportunity
is.
because if I could go back and have those conversations openly with my grandmother, I think she would have been there for me. I think she would have had some good insight. She maybe would have had some protection techniques and guided me better. But I lacked the vulnerability and the courage. It's a lost opportunity now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would have had not nobody I could share that with. Nobody.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, we're lucky. Neither one
Yeah.
of us was put in involuntary holds
Mm-hmm.
through these experiences growing up
Right.
spiritual.
Right.
So at
Right.
least there's that. Unfortunately, not everybody's that lucky, and some people do disclose, and they disclose to the wrong people with the wrong
Absolutely.
information. Before
Yeah.
you were talking about the doctors and saying just call it what it is, and therein is the problem, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
they don't know what it
Yeah.
is. They don't take
Yeah.
in this part of life because it's not scientific
Right.
yet. Wait for
Right.
it.
Right. 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 Right.
Wait for it.
Right.
It's coming. Yeah. Yeah, they don't have that. They don't have the labels. They don't have that understanding. And so it doesn't get incorporated into their hypotheses at all.
Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty much. The dreams, I said the dreams. I guess I can't say that. The whole hearing the footsteps that turned into, whatever else they manifested as, they turned spiritual. They turned spiritual to the point I wasn't scared of the footsteps no more, so they stopped. Um, it turned into me rebuking stuff in my dreams.
Mm.
Like I'm fighting with a spirit and I'm ready. Like I'm fighting with it. And speaking in tongues, and I'm still in church at this point. I'm winning every single time. Okay, in my dreams.
Ooh, there is a gift in that. We talked about it yesterday, but I really feel like those are psychic attacks when that's happening.
Really?
One of the first times, and I keep threatening to do this and I haven't done it yet. I am going to make good on this one day, I swear. When I took Reiki, I often joke I'm going to make a book or a podcast episode or something talking about the things that my Reiki teacher didn't teach me.
You should, though.
And it's not just my teacher in general, it's all of them. They're not always informed at this level. But when we do something like Reiki and we get that first attunement, it is powerful and potent, and we don't always acknowledge the depth of it. And so after my first attunement in person, things began to change fairly quickly. And somewhere along the process of becoming a Reiki master, I did have one of those astral travel psychic attacks of something just coming for me. And it was very clear that it wanted to take over. And I was like, hell no. And you're going to stop. And I think at one point I said, in the name of Jesus Christ. And at another point I said, if you don't knock it off, I'm going to get the sage.
Right.
And then I was close to waking up. But nobody told me that when we come on this spiritual journey, we start working with these modalities, the brighter we grow our light and raise our vibration. It's not just the good stuff that's attracted to that. There's a whole other side, and then we don't have those tools. I had to learn that the hard way. And so now if I attune people to Reiki, I give them the flip side of, hey, as you do these beautiful things in the world, guess what? You are becoming a very bright light, and other things are going to want to latch on and steal that.
That's wow.
So when you're fighting in the astral, and even if it just feels like a dream, but it's super vivid, never agree to anything. Never give anything permission. Never make any agreements. Do not surrender. And whatever it takes, you call in however many angels, guides, ascended masters you need to. If you got to threaten to get the sage, or albeit wake up and actually get the sage, please do so.
Never I've never done that. Okay. Okay.
Had a few. Yeah, I've had a few. We are infinitely protected too, so it's not fair to say there are things that go bump in the night and not talk about that side of it. We do have that protection, and the hardest thing about all of this is remembering to ask and to receive it. That is the hardest thing.
What you mean?
Of calling on angels and saying, hey, clear my room. There is something in my space. Protect me from this psychic attack that's occurring, or this low vibrational energy coming for me. But remembering to ask and to receive is the hardest thing.
I think, it's so many things to this whole conversation, that we're having. And
you're gonna have to come back.
I'm gonna have to come back.
Yeah.
Whatever spirits are attached to you, or whatever it is, they have you to start to believe that Source doesn't exist.
Yeah,
they don't love you.
I remember when you were at that point. They're not
going to protect you. You can call them if you want to. Guess what? They're going to laugh at you. And that's exactly what they're doing, laughing at you. That's been my mindset. That's been my mindset till yesterday.
So do you feel like you had to rebuke them first before you could tell God, hey, you have the day? What order did that have to happen in for Source to start giving you those synchronicities?
I gave Source today first, and then I rebuked eventually, because I was like,
see, so you didn't even have to cast it out yet, and Source did still show up,
which is crazy. I don't know how to explain this. I feel like Source has been silent for a while in my life, for years. So I was kind of mad at Source, you know. I was mad
I
at
remember
God,
that too.
you
I
know.
remember that too. We
And
had
I'm
a
just being
couple of
completely
good
honest.
conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You were angry. You felt betrayed.
Yeah.
And I felt devastated for you because
Right.
I have that connection and I wanted you to have that too. And so we worked at that in lots of different ways. And although I was trained in spirit releasement, it wasn't something I was seeing right away. And so we tried with the Dolores Cannon method, and that was a bit hard for you. You had a hard time with it. And now we know why.
Yeah.
Yep. So yesterday we did actually do some muscle testing. And so, and this is what I recommend is if you think you may be encountering something and you don't know, it's hard because with muscle testing, if you're really infiltrated, they can disrupt that. You might not get the clear answers that you need. Yeah. You also need to be well hydrated. You need to be rested. So you may actually ask someone else who you trust, who you believe to be sovereign, to muscle test for you, which is what Michelle and I did yesterday over the phone. I actually checked because when you were talking about my TV's acting out and then I can't access the podcast and then the headphones aren't working. I actually thought you may have had like an AI nest or been infiltrated by like an AI energy, which is something Laura Whitworth talks about a lot. She's the only one I know to be talking about that right now. Yeah. So it's interesting and it's coming up and it's prevalent, but you actually don't have an AI infiltration. So that was nice to know that you don't have to worry about that. It's one thing to cross off the list. We'll take it where we can, right?
I know that's right. Really. Really.
But then we did muscle test and we found other stuff to work on. And so now we at least have that clarity and a sense of direction for when we do spirit releasement therapy, where we're going to go for you. Yeah. What is your biggest hope around that when you finally get to have a session and fully become sovereign? What are you hoping to find or experience?
I honestly just want to feel fully connected with myself again, as I'm feeling fully detached. So, and fully connected to Source again, fully connected to God. Like, I just want to feel relief because, like I said yesterday, I just feel completely like smothered. Like, I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's somebody got their foot on my neck and there's a lot of heaviness in my abdomen and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's just being suffocated. I just want to feel light.
We actually did muscle test your chakras and found out that, yep, those are the chakras that are in play. And so that it's a very real sensation that you're having. And it's very integrated into the energy. And we're going to work through that. Did yesterday give you some hope, though? The fact that you did hear Source and you did get those synchronicities and you did get some guidance.
It did. I'm not gonna lie, because I gave today to Source too, honey. I was like, hold on, when we start here.
Yes,
I'm ready.
Good, you go. You keep going with it. I love this for you.
Yeah. Yes. So, today.
But it was different. It was different. It was not what you expected, and so for anybody listening,
I didn't sweat as much last night either.
You had some physical relief. Yeah. Yeah. So for anybody listening, though, I really want you to hear this. I really want you to hear what she's saying. She didn't think that Source was there. Source was giving her insight or guidance. And she had expectations about what that insight or guidance would look like. And when she finally asked, it came through different, but it came through.
Yes, it did.
Give up the expectations and just be curious, be open and explore, because yes, there is darkness, there is stuff happening. We have so much light in this world. We have so much support, and that's what matters the most.
Yes.
So if you hear anything today, take that. You are not alone. You have everything you need, and there are people for you to reach out to. So whether it's myself or Laura Whitworth or some of the other SRT practitioners out in the world, there are lots of different kinds with different takes on their modalities, but we're all doing the same work, and you're not alone, and there are solutions. And at the very worst, like Michelle, rebuke it. Cast it out. Call in your soul, call in your sovereignty, call in your strength. And no, you might not clear it all, but you'll get some momentum. You'll clear some of it, and you'll make a little more room for more light to come in. And I have to laugh because tonight, Michelle, you were all light. Like the light is just streaming through the window.
I know, right? It just keeps coming in and out.
It's like its own metaphor. It's perfect. Right. Oh my God. Is there anything else you want people who hear this, who might be going through similar, to know today?
The best advice I can just give you is find you an Amanda Dodd. I'm still growing. I don't feel like I'm in a place to tell you to, talk to anybody, because I've always had, well, not always, since this whole thing's been happening, I've had trust issues and I haven't been able to trust people. So find that person, find that Amanda, find whoever that you go to. And I can't say it's easy. It took a lot for me to even step out and contact her. In the first
and you
place.
You knew me for 2 years. Right, there was a degree of comfort. We'd already worked on some things. Yeah.
And I've been praying about this forever. So it's like, I can't give you
Was it worth the risk?
It was worth the risk. Yeah. And I'm so glad that,
Good.
I don't know. I'm just happy that there's someone that I can actually say something to. I couldn't even say this to the person that's even supposed to be my best friend. I wouldn't even be able to talk to her about it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, thanks, boo.
You are so welcome. You're so welcome. And if, like Michelle, you're trying to do other things and it's just not working for you, it may be you need to do this first. It may be that spiritual releasement therapy is going to be what frees you up to do the other work. So Michelle, one thing I'm looking forward to is coming back to your inner child work, because man, did we try, and we got jammed hard.
Oh, sure did.
And I didn't know then what I know now, so I'm really sorry that I didn't know then what I know now. But
that's
now that I know what I know now,
right.
I can't wait to come back at it and get you sovereign, and then start doing the rest of the work to see how all the dominoes just fall into place really beautifully.
Absolutely.
So I'm super, super excited and hopeful for you.
Oh, thank you. Me too.
You are so welcome. All right, Soulful Seekers. Thank you so much for having Michelle. Thank you for having me back. And as always, stay inspired. Do beautiful things for yourself, and find your one person that you can connect to and be heard, because you don't have to do anything you're doing alone. We heal together. Bright blessings. Goodbye. Thank you for joining us on this transformative episode of Trauma and Transcendence. Your stories matter. I would love to hear them and from you. Connect on our website, healingbeyondtrauma.com, or drop me an email at amanda@healingbeyondtrauma.com. Remember, healing is a journey we take together. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired. This is Amanda, wishing you bright blessings.